What's going on? Welcome into Stock Talk with Nico Kritikos. Today we're going to be looking at 7 stocks to sell in the month of February because the last video I did was stocks to buy in the month of February, but this time we're going to be looking at stocks to sell. So every single one of these is a company I owned and I sold either in January or February. So the first one on the list is going to be Ulta Beauty. This is one that I made into a very big position right around last fall. And I ended up selling out for, I want to say, let's see, we could check my history right here. So I was selling Ulta at 519, 518, 517. That's where I was selling off this stock. And now you can see the stock has gone up a little bit more. So it's probably even a better idea to be selling it. And even though I'm very bullish on Ulta Beauty still long term because they are such a dominant retailer, when you look at the PE ratio, I just feel like there's not a whole lot of room for it to run. And I feel like there is also a chance that when we have a little bit of a pullback in the market, that this stock will fall back down. And especially considering it's already had a really big run up from 370 to 527 now. So if we look at the P ratio, it's been, let's see, it's been pretty much hovering around this 22 mark for a while. That's why I feel like unless their earnings jump up, they skyrocket up, then I really don't see the stock being able to move too much. And that's why I wanted to get out of it and just, put my money as cash. So that's number one. Number two is going to be Tapestry, ticker TPR. This stock, let's check the P ratio on this one. We're looking at a P ratio of, what is this? 11. Okay. So when I bought this one, I want to say, let's look up TPR. I want to say I got this stock at a very good price. And I saw that it was very undervalued because the stock dropped when the news came out that they were acquiring what companies? They acquired, was it Michael Kors and Versace, I want to say it was. I'm not exactly sure what companies they acquired, but they acquired companies for $8 billion and the stock dropped big time. So I figured, okay, well, the P ratio is so cheap, it's worth the taking a chance on. And as you can see, I sold out at 40, so some shares at 40 and then some shares at $43. But I want to say I made about a 46% gain on this stock in only a couple months. I bought this in last October. So that was a pretty good one. I wish I would have bought more, but I didn't. So Tapestry is another one I think is a good one to sell right now. Then we get into Airbnb. This is a similar story. Airbnb, let's look at the stock chart for this. This one is another one where I'm bullish on this. Like this one could still run up. I'm still bullish on Airbnb long term. I would love to buy back into this stock, but I think the stock has had a nice run this year. We're up 38% on the year. And the thing is, right now, if we look at the P ratio, it looks very cheap. It's at an 18, right? You might think this looks very cheap compared to where it's traded at in the past. But the difference is that their last earnings was it was a one-time thing. So the earnings looked a lot higher than what they're normally going to be. And that's why I think, once again, when we have a little bit of a pullback in the market, I think Airbnb will, come back down to, let's say, 120, 130, 100, $135 a share or so. Then that's when I'm going to jump back in and probably make a position again in this stock. So that is number three. Then we're going to look at Texas Roadhouse. This one wasn't anything crazy. This one was just like, I think I only made 15% on this stock, something like that. But the stock's trading at 30 times earnings right now. I figure that's a fair price. And as you can see, that's definitely higher than where it normally trades. So I felt like there wasn't a ton of room for it to run. If we look at the stock chart for this one, we can see that this isn't one I would expect, a ton of gains from anyway. So I was happy with the 15% in a couple months anyways. So we're looking at 31% this year. And then as you can see, the last couple of years, Texas Roadhouse definitely has periods where it'll downtrend for a while. Now, 2021 into 2022 was a pretty bad year, but there is the real way you make money in the stock is when the stock falls and then you ride it up for, 6 months to 12 months and then you sell it, right? So that's why I think we've gone on a pretty nice bull run here right now. And that's why I'm just comfortable taking those profits, storing it as cash. I'm earning 5% cash. And then once again, I think the market is due for a little bit of a drawback, whether that's like 10%, 12%, something like that. So Texas Roadhouse is the next one. Then we're going to get into Visa and MasterCard. They pretty much trade at the same valuations. That's why I put them there. It's almost the same stock. Visa's at trading at 37 times, which once again, you can see how historically it's not super high. It definitely has gone higher, but it is at a fair value where I think it's worth selling it. And then MasterCard's the same thing, where unless their earnings skyrocket, I don't think the stock has too much more room to run. Then we're going to get into ASML. This is the last one. And this is one that this one I sold a little bit early, actually. I made good money. I want to say I made, I don't know, 35, 40%, 45%, something like that. But the stock actually kept going. So the stock was, I was buying pretty cheap at about $580, and then it went all the way up to what, almost, yeah, 950. So this stock had a great run, right? If we look at the last from, yeah, from it almost doubled in price. So ASML, if we look at the P for this one, you can see again the P is way up there. That's why I was selling, because I figured, you know, it can't. I don't like taking a chance and saying, oh, I hope it reaches an all-time, you know, all-time valuation of 60 times earnings or something like that. So I was comfortable with ASML. I made good money, and that's it. So those are my stocks to sell for the month of February. Let me know down below, what stocks are you selling?